let's begin the hello people, Jerry speaking. Welcome to Crazy Bunch's web show's number 108. Today we're doing not 1, not 2, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 dev topics. And we're doing one news report. So let's do it now, shall we? So we got for us. Let's start with Peter David. Even though I started over this last week. Originally do it last week, but I decided to do it this week. Here we go. Born Peter Allen David, updated as PAD, was American writer of comic books, novels, television, films, and video games. His novel comic book works includes an award-winning 12-year run, Incredible Hulk, Swallow's Runs, and Aquaman, Young Justice, Spider-Boy, Supergirl, Fallen Angel, Spider-Man 2099, Captain Marvel, and X Factor. David's Star Trek work included comic books and novels such as the New Frontier book series, and his other novels include film adaptations, media tie-ins, and original works such as the Apprentice of Nothing and Nightlife series. His television work includes such series as Babylon 5, Young Justice, Ben 10's Alien Force, and Nick Space Case, which he co-created with Bill Mummy. David often jokingly described his applications writer stuff, as he was known for his prolific writing, something like that. Characterized mainly of real-world issues of humor and references to popular culture, as well as elements of fiction and self-references, something like that. Anyways, one of his most prolific and eventual comic book writers of modern era, David earned several awards in his work, including 1992 Eisner Award, 1993 Wizard Fan Award, 1996 Asher Award, 2007 Julie Award, and 2011 GLAD May Award. He was born on September 23rd, 1956 in Fort May, Maryland. Scholar and David Niewowski, an Irish Jewish mother who had worked with DNA mappers, James Watson and Francis Crick, something like that, and to whom David credited a sense of humor. Peter David's grandparents, Martin and Helen David, and his father Gunnar, emerged in the United States in the 1930s, and after Belgium and I'm not gonna say it, anyway, Germany, progressive to the point that Martin's Berlin shoe store began a target of vandalism. He had two siblings, a brother Wally, 7 years his junior, who works in the IT systems administrator in the federal sector, and a younger sister named Beth. David first became interested in comics when he was about 5 years old, reading copies of Hobby's Comics Casper and Wendy in the barbershop. He became interested in superheroes throughout the Superman Avengers and Superman TV series. While David's parents approved he was reading Hobby Comics and comics featuring Disney characters, they did not approve of superhero books, especially those published by Marvel Comics. Few of these characters that look like monsters, such as the Thing or the Hulk, or the Bug-Eye comics. Costumes including like Spider-Man did not appear historic. As a result, David read those comics in secret. Began his first Marvel comic, Fantastic Four Annual Number 3 in 1965 in November, which saw the wedding of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman. His parents eventually allowed him to start reading superhero titles, his favorites which were Superman. He cites John Marshall as his favorite pre-70s artist. David attended his first comic book convention around the time that Jack Kirby's New Gods premiered. After asking his father to take him to one of Paul Shirley's shows in New York, where David attended Kirby's autograph his first encounter was a comics professional. David's earliest interest in writing came through the journalism work of his father, Gunnar, and will sometimes review movies and took young Peter along if it was age appropriate. While Gunnar wrote his reviews back in the newspaper's office, David wrote his own bulletins and which sometimes found their way of Gunnar's published reviews. David began to entertain the knowledge and becoming a professional writer at age 12, buying a copy of Guy the Writer's Market, subscribing to suburban magazines in hopes of becoming a new reporter. David lived in Brooklyn, New Jersey, beautiful Jersey anyway, in a small house in 11 Albert Trent, and attended Drummond's Elementary School. His family later moved to Vernon, New Jersey, where he spent all his teens. By the time he entered the teens, he had lost interest in comic books, feeling he's outgrown them. Wow. David's best friend's junior high and first year in high school, Keith, was gay, and was David described how both of them were targets of aggression. Wow. And the harassment was hobbies, okay? Though his family eventually moved to Pennsylvania, and his experiences in Florida saw him to be that town, shaping his political positions regarding LGBT issues. He later made Florida the home location of Bill Morgan Lee Bay. His novel Night Life, and often discussed his regretted views on LGBT issues in column in his own blog. His own interest in comics was rekindled when he saw a copy of Superman vs. Muhammad Ali in 1978. When passing the newsstand, later X-Men number 95 in October 75, and discovered he was later book with the all new, all different, like that. Although to the first appear in the giant-sized X-Men 1 in May 75, these two books were the first comics he had purchased in years. The saddest moment in the course of his operations occurred when we met writer Stephen King in his book signing and told him that he was an aspiring writer. King signed David's copy and Dan's Marguerite with an expression: "Good luck with your writing career." Which David in turn described one onto books presented to him by fans who told him the same thing. Other artists that David cited as influence include Harlan Ellison, Arthur Conan Doyle, Robert B. Parker, Neil Gaiman, Terry Pratchett, Robert Claus, and Edgar Rice Burroughs. Especially the books he mentioned as favorites include To Kill the Mockingbird, Tarzan the Apes, Princess Bride, the Angela Ellison, Gregory Duns, the Adams vs. Jefferson, and Don Quixote. David signed Ellison and progressive writer who have tried to emulate. He attended New York University. He would graduate with a bachelor's art degree in journalism. His early work began with this. His first professional assignment was covering the World Science Fiction Convention held in Washington in 1974, the Philadelphia Bulletin. He eventually gravitated towards fiction after his attempts at journalism did not meet with success. His first published fiction appeared in Almost Science Fiction in 1980. So an op-ed piece in the New York Times, but overall his submissions that met with rejection far outnumbered those accepted. His college career began in the 1980s. When David eventually gave up the career in writing, he came in the world of book publishing. His first publishing book job was to the E.P. Dudley, when imprint Elvis Nelson, where he was worked mainly as an assistant to the editor-in-chief. He later worked in net sales and distributed for Playboy paperbacks. Something like that. Essentially worked with the 5 years of Marvel Comics sales department. first as assistant direct sales manager under Carl Kalish, who hired him, and then succeeding Kalish as sales manager. Okay. During this time, he made some cursory attempts to sell stories, including submissions of some moonlight plots of Dennis O'Neil, but his efforts were unfruitful. 3 years into David's tenure as direct sales manager, Jim also became editor of the Spider-Man's titles. Although crossing over the sales into editorial was considered a conflict of interest of Marvel offices, Osley, whom David describes as maverick, which impressed with how David had not previously had to work with him when Osley was an assistant editor under Larry Hama. When Osley became an editor, he purchased a Spider-Man story for David, which appeared in Spectacular Spider-Man number 103 in June 1985. Osley especially purchased David's Death of the Gene Woody Wolf, a violent murder mystery darker tone than the usually wider Spider-Man stories that ran for issues 107 110 October 1985 to January 1986 of that title. Spider-Man charges of conflicting interest. David made a point of not discussing editorial matters with anyone during his 9 to 5 hours as direct sales manager anyway. And decided not to exploit his position as sales manager by prompting the title. Although David asserted the story's poor sales decision, he asserted that such crossing over the sales and editorial was now common. In the Marvel's office, a rumor concerned that he was actually Osley, who was writing the stories extravagant to David. Nonetheless, David said he was fired from Spectacular Spider-Man. Wow. But Osley's due to editorial pressure. Marvel's editor-in-chief, Jim Shooter, as he commented that was disturbed by Osley's purchase in the stories may have permanently damaged Osley's career. Wow. Months later, Bob Harris offered David to Incredible Hulk. It was a struggling title that no one else wanted to write, which gave David free reign with the character. During his 12-year run on Hulk, David explored the retarded beams in the Hulk multiples personality disorder. His permanent changes between the ranging, less aggressive Green Hulk and more streetwise, cerebral Grey Hulk. Wow. Okay? And being a juryman, a hero, which was inspired by Incredible Hulk number 312 in October 1985, was writer Bill Manuel. Responsibly according to David, Barry Windsor Smith had first established that Bruce Banner had suffered childhood abuse and his hands and his father Brian Banner. These aspects of the character were later used in the 2003 feature film adaptation by screenwriter Michael France and director Ang Lee. Comic book resources credits. David was with making a formerly poor selling book, Must Read Mega Hit. David collaborated with a number of artists who became fan favorites of the series, including Todd McFarlane, Dale Claude, and Gary Frank. Among the new characters he created during this run in the series were the Riot Squad and the Python. He wrote the first appearance of Firebolt, a team created by Kurt Bosek and Mark Bangley. The Incredible Hulk number 440 died in January 1997. After he was added freelancer for a year, and it's one the Hulk that David felt he was writing career and just cemented. After putting out fillers in DC Comics, it's proper the job of writing a 4-issue miniseries, The Phantom, by editor Mike Gold. David quit his sales and production for writing full-time. Dale was a brief tenor writing Green Lantern, when the character was exclusive to the short-lived anniversary series Action Comics Weekly at issues number 608 to 620 in 1988. Dale Short took over Dressers during his first comics run with issues number 41 in March 1989, after Jim Sorwin left the title, and remained on it until issue number 64 in March 1991. The final issue of the run, then David others Marvel Comics working in the late 80s, early 90s, something like that. Including runs on Wolverine, the New Universe series, Mark Hazard, Mark, and Justice. From the original X Factor, in the first series, Superman 2099, 2099, something like that. Anyway, and then the year 2099 was taken up the mantle of Spider-Man, the title character which David co-created. David left X Factor after 19 issues, something like that. He rewrote the first 44 issues of Spider-Man 2099 before quitting that book to protest the firing of editor Joey Cabrera. Mary pronounced his last name. Sorry, yeah. The book was canceled 2 issues later after the entire 2099 line. 1990s. In 1990, there was a 7-issue Aquaman miniseries, the Atlantis Chronicles, by DC Comics, about the history of Aquaman's home in Atlantis, which they refer to as among the writing works which he is most proud of. And his first time writing in full script format. In 1994, he wrote an Aquaman miniseries, Aquaman Time and Time, which led the relaunch monthly Aquaman series. The first 46 issues which he wrote from 1994 to about 1998 is one Aquaman gained normally for his book's second issue. Aquaman lost a hand, which was replaced with a Harpawn, featuring the characters that endured during the duration of David's run in the book. More broadly, his run recast the character as an aggressive man of action. When returned to greater respect, incarcerated to the fish-talking punchline, into which the TV series Super Friends have returned him. They quit that book creative differences. They wrote the Star Trek comic book, for which DC Comics from 1998 to 1991, something like that. Anyway, for that company held the rights to the property, something like that. For he opted the novels are better than suit to Star Trek, for which stories are not highly visual. He and Ron Marz co-wrote the DC Comics and vs. Marvel Company crossover in 1996. They also have runs on Supergirl and Young Justice, the latter eventually being cancelled until DC to use the book's characters and relaunch Teen Titans monthly. Wow. His works were Dark Horse comics, including the Teen Spy Venture Spy Boy, which appeared in the series in a number of miniseries between 1999 to 2004. In the 2007 miniseries, The Scream, something like that. In other 1990s work, including the 1997 miniseries Heroes Were Born, The Return from Marvel, the two career-owned properties, Soul Surgeon and Comedy published by Playboy Comics, the Epic Games comics, some of that, titled Sax and Bobbin, some of that, which he produced with co-creator and artist George Perez. 2000s. His early 2000s work was included the runs in 2 volumes of Captain Marvel, as well as the Before the Fantastic Four Richards limited series. His second wife, Caitlin, wrote the Spinal English language text for the first 4 volumes of the manga series named for Delaware Manga. In 2003, he began writing another career-owned comic called Angel for DC Comics, which he created with order to make the use of plans that he had devised for Supergirl after the May Happy returns. storyline, which he was retailed in the Secret series cancellation. That same year, he wrote the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series for Dreamware. Wait for that. Anyway, that tied into the animated television series broadcast that year. DC canceled Fallen Angels after 20 issues, but David restarted the title at IDW Publishing at the end of 2005. After IDW including some of that a Spike of Old Times one shot and Spike vs. Dragon miniseries, which based on the character from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angels television series. In the same year, 2005, David briefly returned to the Incredible Hulk, proved that he left after only 11 issues because of his workload. He started a new series, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, began with a 12-part crossover storyline called The Other, which along with J. Michael Straczynski's run The Amazing Spider-Man and Regis Hudlin's run The Marvel Knight Spider-Man, despite the ring slinger, as he discovered he was dying. Wow. Lost an eye during a tribal fight with Marlin. Harry Morris and emerged with new abilities and insights into his powers. The storyline caused some controversy among readers whose introduction tried to sling stingers and Spider-Man's arms, and the establishment of his powers being restored to his status in Spider Totem. Wow. Spider issue of that title was number 23. Wow. Scary, I know. He also wrote in Magical X miniseries that year, which was a success. Was to let the relaunch of the monthly X Factor, Volume 3, written by him, which was a revamped version of the title starring both Modrix and the other members of former X Factor title that David had written in the early 90s, which now work on investigations and then the television agency that name. His work in the title gathered praise from A Cool News, and David stated that in and out, opt-out from this policy, agreed plan which Marvel now accepts crossover storylines may have his second stint of his title's part easier. His especially established male characters, Star and Spectre, and sharing this, I'm not going to say this word in this episode, but it's trashing to one another. A comparison of clues that have been established in X-Force years earlier, in issues such as X-Force number 25, 34, 43, 49, 56, and X-Force 1999 annual, drew its criticism from Superstar's co-creator Rob Liefeld. For editor-in-chief Joe Quesada, supported David's story. David eventually won the 2011 GOAAD Man Award for Outstanding Comic Book for his work in the title. In February 2006, David announced at WorldCon Convention in California that he was signing an exclusive contract with Marvel Comics again. This time, Fallen Angel, Soul Surgery Company, and David's Spike miniseries was grandfathered into a contract, so it is not affected by it. The first new project undertaken by David after entering the new contract, which he announced on April 5th, 2006, which is why the dialogue of the Dark Tower and the Gunslinger born. The comic book spin-off of Stephen King's The Dark Tower novels, which is illustrated by Jay Lee, as well as scripted by the subgravity Dark Tower Comics. Anyways, David took over Marvel's She-Hulk after writer Dan Slott's departure. Began with issue number 22. His run won praise, and with issue number 38, which the series was cancelled. He wrote 2008-2009 Sir Obvious or Nothing miniseries, which is based on the character from the novels. It was published by IDW Publishing. Its over 2000 comics based on the license and adopted properties include Halo Helljumper, a 2009 miniseries based on the Halo video game. In 2009, Ben 10 Alien Force manga book, published by DLA, Bob Ben Force 4, A Little Mermaid story, and Jim Valeto's foreign fables that buried was praised by Ain't Cool News. Adaptation of the 1982 film Tron that was released in the time with the film's 2010 sequel, and the John Carter Mars prequel of the 2012 feature-length film. In 2010, he co-wrote Spider-Man Vault, Museum in the Book with rare collections, collectibles spawned up in Marvel's Web with Robert Greenberger. They also wrote the script for the Avengers Season 1, Avengers graphic novel published to promote the DVD release of the Avengers. In 2010s. In November 2011, he was one of the balloon handlers who pulled the Spider-Man balloon during the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. In October 2013, X-Factor ended this run with issue 262, number 262. Anyway, including the X-Factor Inventions and reincarnation of the series. The book was all been rewatched and all new X-Factor and the new series of artists Comedy D. Comedy Manual. Anyways, as a part of the all-new Marvel Now, is to announce in the 2013 New York Comic Con an opening storyline which continues events in issue number 260. The previous story series established a new corporate-sponsored version of the team. It includes Poirier, Quicksilver, and Gambit. In 2014, of July, David returned to Spider-Man 2099. No, 2099. Anyways, we're writing the second volume of second Spider-Man 2099 with artist Will Snidey, something like that. In the series, he was again writing two series, X-Factor Spider-Man 2099, after having previously done with so decades prior. A coincidence that permitted him to juggle at the June 2014 special edition NSYC convention. I don't know whether to be proud of that or I'm on the rot. In the same year, 2014, there was a 6-part story arc with Fandom, publishing Company's Hermes Press. A story that David reportedly have wanted to write for many years. In 2015, Simon Smasher published Stan Lee's autobiographical and graphic novel. Amazing, fantastic, incredible, which David co-wrote, in which he became a New York Times bestseller in the first week of his release. In April 2017, following the conclusion of Spider-Man storyline, Dead No More, the clone comparison from that, we saw the return of Ben Reilly. Marvel premiered the monthly series Ben Reilly, The Scarlet Spire, with David Wire. Anyway, David explained that Sci-Fi Wire, which was then Marvel offered the job. It would eventually be Marvel, as Ben Reilly has never been his favorite version of Spider-Man at all. And given Reilly's reason emerged as a villainous Jackal. However, David gave further commendations to the fact that the book was main character have this squirrely villainous worldview was not something Marvel has surely done much of. Decided that the premise presented itself with opportunities that were something like that. Anyway, encouraged him enough to accept the job. He started Spider-Man work during this decade to include the 2019 5-issue miniseries Spider-Man, which holds a 7.5 out of 10 rating with the review exposure comic books roundup. In the 2020 follow-up miniseries Spider-Man Alien Rally, which holds a 7.6 rating for a comic book roundup. His novels look like this. His career as a novelist developed commercially into his comic book writing career. he had been working as a publisher that went out of business like that. Before a co-worker for that publisher that became his agent, for he sold his first novel, Night's Life, to Ace Books. Before the sale that was made before he wrote any comic books. The novel was not published until 18 months later in 1987. The novel, despite the reappearance of King Arthur in modern-day New York City, another early novel of his, Howling Mad, was about a wolf that turns into a human after being bitten by a werewolf. Ace Books hired David to write the Parfum and PSI band, some of the novels, that were published them under the house name David Peters. Something like that. Anyways, under David's suggestions. David then updated Night's Life years later, when Penguin Putnam brought it back and reprinted in 2003 and made a trilogy of the sequels, A One Night Only and Fallout Night, which published 2004 and 2007 respectively. Penguin released Howling Mad and PSI Band, books under David's actual name. Wow. David first began writing Star Trek novels at the request of Pocket Books editor Dave Stern, who was a fan of David's Star Trek comics books work. His Star Trek novels are among those who he was best known of, including Q and Law, IQ, Vanilla, Q Squared. His most popular novel was 1993's Invasia, who have told the backstory of first romance of the characters William Wacker and Delia Torrey. He credited the ongoing novel series Star Trek New Frontier, spin-off from Star Trek Next Generation, with John J. Donner in 1997. They wrote 24 books of that series, the number of which are the New York Times bestsellers. The line ended in September 2015, the publication of the first part of the digital novel, The Return. Anyways, they offer science fiction tie-in novels, including 5 novels. 3 of which are originals, and 2 of which are adaptations of TV movies, Third Space and The Beginning. The other novels adaptations on those films are as follows: Return of Swamp Thing, The Rocketeer, Batman Forever, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, Hulk, The Incredible Hulk, Fantastic Four, and Iron Man. He wrote the original Hulk novel, The Incredible Hulk, White Savage Beast. An adaptation of an unused Alien Nation television script, Body and Soul. His 2009 novel, Tiger Heart, is a reimagining of Peter Pan with a mix of new and old characters, told by a Victorian bedtime story. Much like a classic tale, it's praised by Ain't It Cool News and honored by the School Library Journal as one of 2008's best adult books for high school students. Her Sir Abolish is Nothing fantasy trilogy, but Sir Abolish is Nothing in the world of Mom and Tom Lashing features characters and settings completely of David's own creation, and does his 2007 fantasy novel Darkness of the Light, which is the first in the new trilogy of novels entitled The Hidden Earth. The second installment, The Highness of Woe, was scheduled to be published in 2009 September. But David landed to be involved and it was delayed until the winter of 2012. Okay, David's 2010 novel work includes Rio the Black Rainbow, a novel co-written with the musician Claudio Chavez and the band Coheed and Carbia, something like that. Anyway, that was released into the band's album of the same name, and favorite original novel, the Bovrine Or, set between the bands of Fable 2 and Fable 3. In April 2011, David announced that in addition to another Fable novel, he and a number of other writers, including Glenn Hallman, Mike Freeman, Bob Greenberger, serving the electronic publishing and everything that called Crazy 8 Press, to publish ebooks directly to fans. To Versa, which will be David's Operation story, something like that. The Comet Papers. David's saying that the second book in this Hidden Earth trilogy will be published through Crazy 8. And in September 2013, David acknowledged that the books published through Crazy 8 were not as lectured as him, as those who were publishers that pay him advance like that. Announced that then measuring novels artful, being secret history, the unique and visual, the Narful Dodger, Hunters of Vampires, among other things, will be published by Amazon.com. Anyways, right habits and approach. And that is this, okay? David said that he would try to block out different days and different times to work on different projects. He eventually worked on in the morning, for example, on novels, the comic book related works in the afternoon. Had President Smith used Smith Cornet typewriters, he worked on a Sony virtual desktop computer. I use Macs, so hello. Anyway, use Microsoft Word for his comics and novel work. And file draft his screenplays, okay? When writing novels, he sometimes outlined the story and sometimes improved his writing. Following the stroke in December 2012, David began using Dragon Dialect to write. Wow. Tom McFarlane's original art, which is the cover of the Incredible Hulk 340, number 340, featuring Wolverine, which Wolverine gave to David as a gift, hung in David's office. David previously wrote to the comic book script using the Marvel method, but due to his temporary overplot, during the cooperation with McFarlane on Incredible Hulk, he switched over to full script method, during which he continued to use it as 2003. He stated that he preferred to plot his comics stories as 6-month arcs like that. He stated that he was working the popular title, he always did so with a particular person or groups of people in mind in which he dedicated. Explained he had written Supergirl with his stars, Young Justice with his son. He might one day have had an Incredible Hulk with his first wife, Mara, who have emerged him to accept the job of writing that book. David further explained the events of his whole life were sometimes preferred in this work, and when, for example, the following breakup of his first marriage, the legend of Incredible Hulk fired. When the Hulk wandered in the world aimlessly, homelessly, looking for beloved. David said that his favorite female character of his own creation was Lee. Prevention of Fallen Angels, like that, which was, he said, the possible female fan reaction to that character. Characters that David did not write, but was expressed an interest in writing the comics, including the Batman, Tarzan, Dawn, Savage, Jaguar the Pearl, Pearl Avengers, and Dracula. He especially mentioned he was interested in writing a Tarzan versus a Phantom story, and it's not happening at the moment. Unfortunately to say this, other publishing work, seen here. Before David became a professional writer, he began writing fan fiction. Examples which are the Tarzan Pooh Corner. Wow, Tardis. Anyway, he began writing his weekly, she called Back to Grass, comics buyer's guide since July 1990. Grass agreed to do the column of a succession of ominous fan, the comics buyer guide, editor Don Maggie Thompson. David created the existence of the column Holland Ellison, something like that. Anyway, in which he attempted a monthly column in which he wrote the introduction to the 1994 Back to Grass collection. Anyways, David donated his earnings from the column, the comic book legal defense fund. He continued to column during the CBCG's when that switched from the monthly magazine format in 2004 until the magazine defense spawned. Until the magazines ceased production in March 2013. Wow. A second collection, More Digresses, was published by Madden Migration Press in June 2009. He was a column to comment in the state the industry, which sometimes brought him to conflict with other careers in his column, and even put him in the position of criticizing the publishers he did work for. In his memoir he made, my employers were mystery good sports about it. David is in Star Trek actor James Doohan was Doohan's 1996 autobiography Beam Me Up Sky. An interview with David appeared the first volume was Wire on Comic Script Writing 2002. His struggle book, Writing for Comics with Peter David, was published in Impact Books in June 2006. His second edition of Writing for Comics and graphic novels and Peter David was published in 2009 of August. His short story, Cars by Scene by Cadillac, appeared Tales of Zero, the first collection, original Zero, short fiction ever, authorized for Zero Productions Incorporated. The adversary edited by Richard Dean Starr. Was published by Moonstone Books in 2006. 2009, he organized a Saturday round robin story called Potato Noon. So about that. Anyway, organized by David and hosted his own website, which is inspired by an announcement by Russ at Noon, an authorized fan fiction novel based on Stephanie's Mayer's Twilight series. Authors include Hugh Casey, Keith R.A.D. Carnio, and Kevin Connolly presenting the story. Characters such as Michael Douglas, Dan Quality, and Ernest Montgomery appearing alongside several visions of Mayer's characters, including David Spurs of Sarah's not for pilot venture, which he had no plans to publish the completed Potato Moon. He allowed for the positive feature release and the benefit of the comic book legal defense fund. In 2022, David's created offering titled The Fans of Buried Tales, which he, of own words, covers Crusher's Buried Tales, with the event the 4-point permission, which everyone snowed and created the composite of the large Joe SF convention, which the attendees snowed and wind up exchanging stories in which their characters genres in the hotel bar. When he was discovered that organizing the 2022 California convention would not be required attendees to show proof of vaccines or negative test results, he started using a Kickstarter to pay those involved. Many of the stories were from fellow Crazy 8 authors, while others were submitted by other professional writers and even fans. However, Mia began with this. It's a short one. Anyway, David wrote for several television series and video games. He wrote 2 scripts for Babylon 5, the second season of episode Soulmates, and Vera Honors Lives. In the episode Ruin for the Tomb and sequel series Suicide with actor writer Bill Mommy, he was co-creator of the television series Space Cases, which for 2 seasons with Nickelodeon, and proved it was the most retro work. He himself appeared as Ben, the father of series regular Bulba, the second season episode Long Distance Calls. His older daughter, Shauna, later appeared as Percival, the most disturbed sensitive computer in the series finale of the episode series, The Friend in Need. Anyway, he wrote and co-produced several films for Full Moon Entertainment, including Transformers 4, Transformers 5, Operation 2, Backlash. He made cameo appearances in some of the films, as well as a briefly aside realized Super Moon Comics line. He wrote an unproduced script for the 5th season of Babylon 5 called Gut Reactions, where he wrote for Bill Mommy. He also wrote in Charm's Way, an episode Ben 10 Alien Force. The script was recorded early 2009. The episode premiered in November 2009. He wrote 3 episodes of the spin-off Ben 10 Alien, in which the first of which reflected Gore, premiered on October 15th, 2010. He wrote the script for Xbox 360 video game, Shadow Complex, which debuted in 2009 August. He wrote several episodes with John Joseph in the animated TV series, which premiered in 2010. It was based on the comic book series he wrote from 1998 until 2003. The first episode he wrote was Secret. The same year, he was wrote the graphic novel adaptation of the video game Epic Mickey, critical dialogue Disney Epic Mickey, Tales of Wasteland. In 2011, he wrote the video game Spider-Man Edge of Time. In the 2012 San Diego Comic-Con, Stan Lee announced his new YouTube channel, Stan Lee's War of Heroes, which shares several programs created by Lee and other creators. One of them, Head Cases, is a superhero sitcom created by David and his wife, Kathleen, and produced by David and Luson. The series centered on Thunderhead, in which hero would be hero whose ability to utilize his ability to produce loud thunder blasts, which without injury to himself leads him to become a source of disorientation of superhero community. The series will explore events that occur in between the battles of topically seen in the comic books, which based on a concept originated by Osland. Partly inspired by It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He also described Head Chase in a 75-minute film divided into 5-minute webisodes. Wow. The series featured guest appearances by other industry personalities, including Stan Lee, who appears as himself, visualized in a similar manner to Norm Pearson's for Cheers. I'm not going to read over the awards right now, but his public image goes like this. Okay? Or more than one indication. Editorial problems or corporate pressure for modified, rescripted these plot lines, permitted this David to leave books, permanently decision to terminate this first one in Marvel's X Factor. Wow. Okay, makes sense. Oh man. Anyway. Okay, due to the commercial having the containing plots accommodate costs or events in other books. Okay, makes sense. Anyway. He resigned from Superman 2099 to possess his father, editor Joey Convery, and from Augment and other creative differences. When David Roberty left for the first stint as Incredible Hulk due to editorial pressures, due to some of the plot points, the characters that David established were retconned by later creative teams. In his But I Digress column, which began appearing on the Comics Buyer's Guide in July 1990, in his blog in operation in April 2002, there was outspoken, and many of his views pertaining to the comic book industry and numbers of the subjects, something like that. He criticized the low regard in which writers are held. But the practice of selling polybag comics, so-called poster covers that showcase a character without engaging some of that, anything about the comics content. Anyway, the meaningless of killing off characters be eventually revived, so like that. The poor comment the part of the sum of the maintain eventually the sum share the virtual universe and matches on Gary monthly comics series toward eventually collection into trade paperbacks. David opted and the failure the part of consumers to purchase the monthly and eventual issues in favor of weighing the trade questions, hurt the sales, the chances of being collected of all. And all some of that. A father of $4, they work on numbers of series that feature female leads, such as Supergirl, Fallen Angel, and She-Hulk. Wow. And he remembered the American comic book market that was not supporting such books. Davis spoke out to fans about fans who were music of between the creators and against copyright infringement, partly to which he was commanded through peer-to-peer file sharing, opposing Larry worked in the entirety of the internet without the permission of a copyright holder. Wow. On many occasions, he offered criticism, especially publishers, in which he criticized Wizard magazine ageism. He criticized companies for not especially questions of careers of outstanding regular characters, such as Marvel Comics and its treatment of Blade career Marv Wolfman, and Archie Comics with its treatment of Josie the Pussycat's career Dan DiCaro. He criticized publishers for various other business practices, including Marvel and Image Comics. He defended the said companies for the criticism he felt unfounded, in which he defended Marvel from a February 20, 1992 Barnes magazine article. He criticized the ones on Wikipedia, which I read Wikipedia about web, in-depth topics anyway, on more than one occasion. On occasion, he disagreed publicly on with specific industry personalities such as Frank Miller and Jim Shooter, something like that. Partly publicized with disagreements with Swan, career Todd McFarlane in 1992 and 1993, Wiggins formation of Image Comics. The company from Farm co-founded. This came to the head during the public debate with the Philadelphia's Comic Fest convention in October 1993, which was moderated by artist George Perez. He claimed that McFarlane claimed that the Image was not being treated fairly by the media, and by David in particular. The three judges, Maggie Thompson, Aaron the Comic Buyer's Guide, William Christian, something like that, William Wizard Press, and John Donovich of the magazine Hero Illustrated voted 2-1 in favor of David, with Donovich blowing the debate a tie. Wow. They later criticized McFarlane for other business practices, and in Jay's public disagreements with comments to journal editor Gary Grove, Eric Watson, Rob McFarlane, Marvel editor-chief Joe Quercia, writer director Kevin Smith, DC Comics vice president, editor-chief editor Dan DiDio, and John Barrett. Despite his differences with Byrne, David said he was still a fan of Burns. Critics Burns' work at X-Men, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Alpha Flight, and Babe. Not the cheap paid movie from 1995, but the book from Dick King Smith, but we're talking about a comic book named Babe. Babe. Particularly, David himself as liberal. It was criticized as the George W. Bush administration in general, and the Iraq War in particular, as well as other Republicans. Wow. And immigration rights. He also became a staunch critic of President Donald Trump and his administration, criticized politics on a weekly basis. He spoke out in favor of Israel's right to defend itself administrators, and opined that the criticisms of Israel's nation's bias and double standards. Wow. He favored gun control and held progressive liberal views on LGBT issues, including favored gay marriage. Wow. And allowing openly homosexuals individuals to serve in the military. Wow. He opposed capital punishment. He was honors of freedom of speech, having criticized various publishing instances of censorship in general, well, such as targeting the comic book retailers for publishing for selling certain comic books, and the comics code offering in particular. He was a promoter and activist for the comic book legal defense fund, which comes to the aid of such creators and retailers. We criticized ideas associated with liberty political correctness, such as certain publicized case of alleged, I'm not gonna say the S word, harassment of this creation that he was deemed unfounded, but did not shy away from criticism of liberals and Democrats, including Bill Clinton, Al Gore, Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama, Caroline Kennedy, and Barack Obama. In October 2016, David generously controversial remarks he made during the panel discussion of the New York Comic Con to eventually Ms. Rodriguez, a founder of Roma to Pop. Wow. An organization that seeks to promote the more positive representation of the Roma in comics. Rodriguez has had speakers at multiple panels, the combination of representation of comics in light of what he said and stereotyping in that group. We asked David about what the public can do about Marvel's editorial policies regarding this. David related from the 1993 trip to Boston, where he was told by this guy that the critical children he saw, that he was maimed by their parents approved and assessed by, wow. David then angrily rebutted the further interjections by Rodriguez before moving into the next question. He would later defend the beliefs in the blog in saying that he would have written Molly characters as Quicksilver in the positive manner. He was angered by the criticism of children. However, Comic Beats, in reporting of the incident, stating that David's claim about the children in the urban myth commonly criticized Romania. Wow. And the modiform limbs seemed in such children more likely resulted from the lack of medical care. On the Romania district and the medical establishment that resulted in the forced sterilization programs that proposed upon the European nations until the 2000s. 2 days after his first blog post, the day after the Comic Beats article, David published his second blog post in which he apologized for his conduct, stating that he, after researching the matter, he concluded the children he saw likely suffered from good conditions, and so he had no right to speak as he has to Rodriguez. David also related that he has apologized to Rodriguez in person in separate encounters and competition, and resolved to treat Rami characters with respect and believe he always have. His personal life and health and death goes like this, okay? This is finally gonna happen after nearly an hour. Wow. Okay, I've been quiet for some of the death topic of him. But anyway, David lived in Long Beach, Warrenbury, and began in the 1990s, Palm Ridge, Long Island, where he lived until his death. David met his first wife, Mara McCaslin, in the Star Trek convention. They married in June 1977, with his childhood friend Keith served as his best man. Together they have 3 daughters, Sandra, Gregory, and Ariel. They separated in late 1996, and they divorced by 1998. David began dating Kathleen O'Shea, the bookseller, puppeteer, and writer editor, in 1998. After dating for 3 years, David proposed as O'Shea at an Adventures Club at Walt Disney World, September 2000. They were married on May 26, 2001 in Atlanta, Georgia. Wow. Their daughter, Catherine Helen David, was born December 5th, 2002, and named after David's deceased friend and co-worker Carol Kalish. Wow. David's family lived in suburb Cali, New York, South Shore of Long Island. Wow. Okay. There were his favorite local comic shops were Fourth Wall Comics in South New York. David's father, Garner, died of cancer of April 20th, 2015. David's mother, Dala, died on May 27, 2017. He had been a Catholic Jew, but as of October 21st, 2003, attended Reformed synagogue. Wow. His Hebrew name in Paragram form is Jacob Ben Jogram. However, he expressed variations about organized region. He was an avid fan of bowling, which I am at, by the way. And the bowler himself, he and his daughter Ariel. He was a fan of the New York Mets, in spite of child Judy. However, his favorite music includes the Beatles. Wow, his favorite albums include Harry Chavez Berries and Balderdash, and Sergeant Amadeus and Terminator 2, Judgment Day. His favorite movies include the James Bond movies, Adventures of Robin Hood, that, Charlie Baga, Johnny Weiser Tarzan films. His favorite TV shows are Doctor Who, Hill Street Blues, Charm, Carnival, Possum Republic, Practice, Friends, which I've never seen, I haven't got a chance to watch, but this is stupid. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Allies, and The West Wing. He was a fan of musicals, including 1776. Mancha, Little Amber, and Into the Woods, which I've seen the movie, never the musical. But anyway, it takes Lerner in the Woods and Stephen Salham. He's also acted in local stage productions. His health and death goes like this, okay? In June 2010, his wife announced he was on his website he had been successfully undergone surgery to relieve surgical back pain. He later began explaining he was sick, that he was in pain, that he was been suffering from his hips and knees for 3 weeks, without able to function. He was eventually diagnosed with herniated disc, caused of bone fractures and fluid buildup. He underwent a 3-hour demonstration and was told he was full weight strength would return in 6 months. On December 29, 2012, he suffered an unexpected stroke while on vacation in Florida. The stroke offered his pawns section of David's brain, wow, with which he was lost most of his use of the right arm and his right leg, and suffered a blurred vision in his right eye. While the total recovery was estimated to be unlikely, he remained in good spirits and underwent physical therapy in order to return to his prior routine. 2.5 months later, the condition was improved, and vision problems were gone. Wow. He was able to navigate around his house without a wheelchair. Wow. And resumed bowling and practice cha-cha. He had made slow and steady progress in his right leg and arm. He was continuing his therapy. 6 months after the stroke, David has completed his physical therapy, but he still suffered from pain in his shoulder and intended to work on his improving his reduced injuries like that. They reviewed in January 2015 he has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes a year prior. In March 2015, David announced his blog that the annual review service was demanded he pay $88,000 in unpaid taxes, penalty, and interest, which began to accumulate this divorce from his first wife and use up his savings. He started a GoFundMe campaign to raise the money from his friends and fans. Wow. And to raise $68,000 by April 12th, well, David announced he would began a Patreon account, which would be he had published new work and would be often pay taxes, and has his readers from their constant requests. By May 11th, he was having sold more than the original comics artwork acquired 2 decades earlier. The day of his death were paid off. On November 27, 2022, another GoFundMe was launched by Graham Murphy, who explains David's health was once again in decline following kidney failure. Another series of strokes and a mild heart attack. In order to defy his medical death due to Pierre began the rejected mankind. By May 20th, 2025, David's ability to cough for the clear and the spoke required him to place on a ventilator under light conditions. He died on the evening of May 24th. He was 68 years old at NYU Regional Hospital, Starbuck. Pierre David was 68 years old after a long observation, brief strokes, and other health conditions. According to Newsday, the cause of death was a cardiac event, although the New York Times cited Webb, who said this had been another stroke. David was cremated and service was held, and although Kathleen planned to hold a memorial later in the year. It's a whole hour of that death topic. My next death topic has to do with Alan Yomtov, which I was going to do last episode, but I couldn't, but I'll do it this episode. But anyway, born that name, it was an English television executive and presenter. He was senior host on the BBC, held music and arts controller at BBC One, BBC Two, and was corporation creative director from 2004 to 2015. Wow. He was also chairman of the boards of trustees and charity Kids Television Company from 2003 until collapse in 2015. He was born in the New York Jewish family in somewhere London on March 11, 1947. The son of Flora Esther Neve Cossum and Isaac William Young. Wow. So after he was born, his family moved to Manchester, England. His father was in business while his wife's family, the Cossums, one of the examples of the combination was sales of Ogden Hollins in 1951. Wow. Involved his mother, father, and uncle, Najee Cossum. Together they were involved in UK with various other textile manufacturers plus wholesalers such as Spencer, Turn, Bio, and Jorio Rotterdam and Company. Families also have dealings in South Africa, women holding companies and Angel and African investments. The public companies were eventually sold, and a few controlling into Sawhurst Dent, in which Al Yohab still owned a 10% share. He grew up in Damsbury, a suburb of Manchester, returned to London with his family when he was 12 to live in a flat in Park Lane. He was born at the independent school in King's Alley in Cambridgeshire, something like that. He passed A-levels in French, English, and history, getting B's, and studied at the Sorbonne in Paris and spent a year in the University of Galway, something like that. He wanted to study law in the University of Leeds, where he became involved in student drama. He graduated with a lower second class degree in 1968. He joined the BBC, the training of the BBC World Service in 1968, was only non-Oxbridge graduate that year. 9 months later, he was moved to BBC Television to become an assistant director of arts programming. In 1973, he became a producer and director working in the high-profile documentary series Ominous, from which in 1975 he made a film called Crack Actor, which is about musician David Bowie. And in the same year, he helped imitate another BBC documentary series, Arena. Wow. Which was edited from 1978 to 1985. Series returned from regular editions until the present day. He left Arena to become BBC's head of music and arts, a position occupied until 1987. He was promoted controller of BBC Two, one of the youngest channel controllers for the BBC's history. Under 6-year scholarship, he introduced programs such as The Late Show, I've Got News for You, and Absolutely Fabulous. In 1993, he was promoted to control BBC One, responsible for the outlet of the BBC's premier channel. During his tenure, he was considered the dramas Middlemarch, Pride and Prejudice, and Bally Kiss Angel. In cast of the soap opera and Il Dodgero, he remained in post until 1996, when he was promoted again to BBC's television overall director of programmings. Wow. This appointment was only a brief one, but performed reorganization of BBC's executive committee and led to the creation of the new post. Filled by Yura, director of drama, entertainment children's. This plays Yura tops for that. An overall separation of BBC's output and these free jobs all across all media, radio, television, and internet. He continued this post until June 2004, when the new BBC Director General Mark Thompson reorganized the BBC's executive committee and promoted Unitop, the new post BBC creative director, responsible for overseeing BBC creative across television, radio, and interactive services for that. He also began to present BBC's programming, which included a series of Our Life of Leonardo da Vinci, and from 2003, a new regular art series, Imagine. One episode of Imagine had Unitop explore the World Wide Web, blogging and user created content like that, and even the use of English Wikipedia. Wow, exploring people's modes of salvation that can be had for sharing information such as large scale. In 2007, he appeared on the host of the Sky Image of Imagine of Molly Amusing Panel Show. Swim Image episode focusing on the comedy panel game show. Never mind the plus Cox. Anyway, according to the Times, his politicians was affected. That it was revealed that his politician and some of the interviews for Imagine was being faked. Well, in 2007, he was reported that the programming inserted news. Wow, nice, my dad. Featuring Yon Tom in the interviews they did not conduct, creating the impressive that he had been present. He also warned it not to do it again, but otherwise not inspired lines like that. Much of the describing some who have seen more junior staff some of that lose their jobs to lesser mayors. This controversy was covered in some newspaper Nightgate. In March 2010, he and Nigel Lawson opened the Jewish Museum in London and called it Ducktown. In July 2009, he was revealed that he was calling in a pension of £6.3 million. Wow. Given the annual retirement income of £216,667 like that, for the rest of his life. For the ones which began his biggest position in the public sector, he earned £200,000 to £249,999 in the BBC controller and presenter. He was paid a declared salary of £183,000 by the BBC. My initial income was the BBC, presenting the other roles and earned him an extra £150,000, bringing his BBC income to £330,000. He was one of the board of trustees of the Architectural Foundation, something like that. He was involved in several charities, including the post of a chairman and trustee of Kids Company. He resigned from BBC's creative director December 2015, when he organizations he thought influenced the BBC's coverage of kids' comedy Scandal. Wow. Kids Scandal, it's a lot of it, but I'm not going to read the rest of Kids Comedy, so there you go. It was founded in but his later career began with this. He was creative director of the board director of Two Dollars Entertainment at the time of his death. He, as executive producer of the upcoming animated feature, Sometimes, he brought in Mel Brooks and songwriter Sir Tim Rice. His partner of 4 years was Permian Walker, a television producer, and a couple of his son and daughter. They married in 2020. In September 2006, his son was stabbed during the robbery in the doorstep of the family's four-story home in Notting Hill. In 2005, he was awarded the honorary doctor of letters in DeMaury University, Manchester. It was appointed that commander of the Orient British Empire, CBE for short, in 2024, birthday honors, for service to arts and media. He's a friend of Salman Rushdie, and was spoke to him in 2024 BBC programming Salman Rushdie through glass darkly, in which Rushdie's account was being stabbed multiple times by an attacker in New York State. He died on May 24, 2025. He's 78 years old. His BBC Director General Tim Davie paid tribute, calling him a creative force, a visionary, something like that, and saying that he was shaped decades in programming the BBC and beyond, with a passion of storytelling and public service that lead to Washington legacy. BBC Radio 4 Today presenter Amo Rajan described him as a unique and kind man, and promising impressionable and from unlikely origins who became the trilogy figures in the culture in post-war Britain. And comedian David Bile described him as a king of TV, and Pet Shop Boys said he was a legend in British TV, responsible for some of the BBC's finest programmings. In popular culture, he was portrayed by Almer Urshman, the 2015 Operatic comedy about poetry comedy areas and events surrounding kids' comedy, which music by Tim Dury and text by Jose Wargry and A. Fraser. Anyways, the next topic has to do with Stan Eggerson. Born that name, he was an American television news reporter and anchor. Born on 1942 of November 11th, he was studied journalism in Pally City College before serving in the U.S. Army in the Fort Ord Division. Strategy manager teaching 20,000 trainees. He was a documentary producer, writer, and director of David Wolper Productions, a reporter and anchorman in the San Francisco Bay Area and NBC Los Angeles. When he covered the Tate Rebellious murders and the trail of Charles Manson. For over 20 years, he became the most popular news speaker in the nation's 19th largest television market. Special B called him the man who owns Sacramento. He was an award-winning reporter in the regularly traveled the world's most travelous places to bring a deeper insight to local evening news. In 21 assignments, he covered 18 countries and cyclists, and was often featured on national television. He sweated all assignments and himself. Wow. Man dangerous was such as being chased by a Soviet helicopter gunship in Afghanistan, held up and robbed by guerrillas in El Salvador, shot in Cambodia. Sam was overcovered the presence of U.S. forces in Bosnia, reporting Holocaust relations with China, went to Baghdad and Kuwait before and after Operation Desert Storm. covering withdrawal of American forces in Somalia, something like that. And his first song in South Africa. He also covered these remarkable traditions of South Africa as a serious involved in the country's first all-race democratic election. He also had a long history of Vietnam. He was there in 1991 and 1992 when it was still during the World War. South and 1987, he took former great Brevet Captain, the late Greek B.T. Collins, back in Vietnam. He retired in July 1999, and after 46 years in television and radio, he was a principal news anchor and reported KCRA Channel 3 for Sacramento for 23 years. Wow. Then he spent 5 years at KOVR Channel 13 anchoring and reporting for this weekday newscast. Personal life, okay? I'm not going to read everything, okay? He resided in Sacramento and continued the community until his death on May 25th, 2025. He was 92 years old. He was the father of 4 sons. Brad Lance Atkinson, who was preceding in death, Mike, and Alex. I had a daughter named Sarah. This was a stepfather Griffin and Allison McCain and David Adam Lavrain. He was a proud grandfather of 14 and great-grandfather of 18. He was an artist, son Lance Atkinson, who died suddenly at 44 on the turn charges in April 1994. The Lance Atkinson Scholarship was established. The business school at California State University, Sacramento Stan's Friends, staged a retirement party that raised $100,000, wow, which established a scholarship. 8 students have received full ride incentives from the fund. My next topic has to do with Simon House. Born that name, he was an English composer for crossbody trained violinist and keyboard player, perhaps best known for his work with space rock band Hawkwind. Born on August 29, 1948. Before his time with Hawkwind, he was best played in High Time in the Fur Band, who contributed to the soundtrack in Roman Topology's Batman Bat. Guitarist Tony Hale recalled how House became a member of High Tide. Peter Pavel and I were hanging out with and crashing with where we could be at Mike's and Wayne's, something like that. So I ended up crashing there, and well, someone was playing bass then. He said, I used to play violin, you know. So I get this is basically it. He joined Hawkwind in 1974. He left the group for David Bowie's band in 1978. Along with other Hawkwind members, he was a session member of the science fiction author Marwick's New World's Fair in 1975. He also played in solo projects by former Hawkwind members Robert Carver and Nate Turner. From 1970s onwards, House cut down interesting times. When Tony Hill under the Hot Tide banner released solo studio albums under his home name. Twice rejoined Hawkwind between 1989 until 1991, and between 2001 until 2003. He died on May 25th, 2025. He's 36 years old. My next topic has to do with Rick Derger, something like that. Born Richard Dean Zergeringer. He was an American musician, best known and producer and songwriter. He gained success in the 60s, but with his own band, McCoy's. The debut single, Hang On Snoopy, became his #1 hit in 1965. It was now retained regarded as a classic track of the garage rock era. McCoy's has sold 7 songs charts in the top 100, including covers of Fever and Come On Let's Go. After releasing All American Boy, Dakota established a career in solo artist. In 1973, he from further success with his song Rock and Roll Haji Koo. He also worked on exterior with brothers Edgar and Johnny Winter, played lead and rhythm guitar in the bands, and producing all in the Gold Mountain Records, including Eagle winners hits Frankenstein and Free Ride, both in '73. He also contributed to Shelly Dan, Cyndi Lauper, and Weird Al Yankovic, producing Yankovic's Grammy Award-winning hit songs He It in 1984, 84, and Fat in 1988. He also produced the WWF's albums, the Wrestling album 1985, and his follow-up, Paul Driver's The Wrestling album 1987. Those all featured Hulk Hogan's interest song, Real American, and initially the theme song of the tag team U.S. Express, and the Russian tag team meme, The Formation. He also produced 3 songs in the album 1984 Tom Hanks film, Bachelor Party. He was born August 5th, 1947, in Crenshaw, Ohio, and grew up in Fort Recovery, Ohio. He was the son of John Iowa Zuckerberg and Janice Van Trauberg Zuckerberg. His father was a session foreman and nickel played Byro. Wow. Okay. According to Duggar, and aside from his parents existent record collection, his first major influence was his Uncle Jim Thornburg, popular guitarist and singer in Ohio. Duggar could call him first hearing him play guitar in the kitchen of his parents' home and knowing immediately that he wanted to learn the instrument. He was 8 years old at the time, and his parents gave him the first electric guitar on his 9th birthday. Soon after, he and his brother Rainey began playing music together. Wow. After 8th grade, the family moved to Union City, Indiana, where he formed a band he immediately could call McCoy's. He remained in the Z combo, Ben Rick and the McMayers, before remembering his original name. Wow. In the summer of '65, before he turned 18, McCoy's was hired by a backup in the New York bass band called Strangeloves in concert. The Strangeloves, who are also record record producers in New York City, were looking for a band to record a song called Sloppy. They choose McCoy's. He later persuaded the producers that changed the title to Hang On Sloppy. Wow. Which I did not know. Okay. After the Strangeloves recorded this guitar and intro parts, the McCoys were bought the studio to sing on the record recording, which was released under their name. The song reached the number 1, the Hot 100, with Barry McGuire's Eve on Destruction film, the number 1, the number 2, the Beatles' Yesterday, zooming the number 45 to number 3. Hang On Sloppy has since the summons his home state in Ohio, and fans of the Ohio State Buckeyes all chant OHIO, something like that, during the breaks of the song's choirs. And it's clearly played at home football games in Ohio Stadium. During the song is also played during Cleveland Guardians home games and Progressive Field. It's also traditionally played at the end of every tour given in the Ohio Clevelands. It was originally record play Hey on the Wall in the gift shop. He married Liz Argus in 1969. In the 70s, anyway, he and McCoy joined Johnny Winter in the group they call Johnny Winter and with the N recording McCoy's, he became part of the Angry Winter's White Trash and the Angry Winter group. In 1973, he released his first solo album, All American Boy, which features his hit song Rock and Roll Haji-Ku. By then, the song had already appeared on the albums John Winter in 1970 and Road Walk in 1972. Anyways, his version reached the top 25 on the Billboard 100 charts. Anyways, becoming the highest charting single of all time. But despite the single's success, All American Boy was not a successful album. Well, one critic called it a sadly neglected album of great merit. His later albums both sold and with his band Duringer, including 1977's Sweet Evil, co-wrote with Cynthia Well and Robert Thunder Review offer very tall solvents like that. He also released the critically acclaimed album Guitarist Woman I Say Die, which was released by Liner Notes by Rise and Tide in 1998. Around this time, he played guitar on 2 Slowy Dan tracks, Slow Bass Kids on Countdown to Eventually in 1973, and Glenn Lightning on Grassy Line in 1975. He's credited as with having helped Donald Fagen started on the record deal in 1972. During this period, he also cooperated with his neighbor Todd Rundgren, who also did Bad Hell at the time. But anyway, playing on 4 Rundgren solo albums. He also had a regular Andy Warhol Circle, which Barry visited Warhol's studio in the factory. Wow. He also played on My Rebel with Steely Dan's Got True in 1980. Also contributed to Jim Fagen's first 2 The Night Fly in 1982. However, in 1983, he played guitar on 2 hits power ballads produced by Jim Steinman. Air Supply's Making Love and Out of Nothing at All, and Bonnie Tyler's Total Eclipse of the Heart. Wow. He also said his guitar solo is Making Love Out of Nothing at All was his favorite of the solos he recorded. That same year, he recorded guitar parts of Meatloaf's poorly received album, Midnight and the Lost of Found. Both Making Love and Midnight Nothing at All and Total Eclipse of the Heart were originally offered to Meatloaf by Steinman for that album. But Meatloaf's record company was refused by Page Steinman for commotions. In 1983, Durga also wrote Shake Me for this Good Dirty Fun solo album, accompanied by a video produced by Jake Hooker, the husband of Laura Love. Singer Russell Grant appeared on the video alongside Duranger. Wow. In 1984, he played guitar in Barbara Streisand's sounds like that. He covered Steinman's Left in the Dark. Released his lead single for album Emotion. In 1985, however, his friendship with Cyndi Lauper led him and Steinman to collaborate again, with Duranger produced the wrestling album with WWF and the album concerning most wrestlers' theme songs. He wrote several songs for it, including Real American, co-written with Bernard County. And the song was originally used in the theme song for U.S. Express, Barry Whitehouse, and Mike Rada, but soon became Hulk Hogan's theme song after Whitehouse left the WWF in 1985. The song was used for U.S. President Barack Obama in 2011 White House correspondent there, where he played it while he version his purpose specific. So it was also used as a campaign song by Hillary Clinton, a bittersweet song by Newt Gingrich, and in 4 videos during the campaign for Donald Trump. In 1986, he also worked with Meatloaf again on Blind Before I Stop, covering the song Masquerade, like that. Also that year, 1986, he played guitar on 2 songs on Cyndi Lauper's album True Colors, Comments Inside the Storm, and Far Away Nearby. From 1986 till 1992, he served as a guitarist and heard out tours. For combining live performances those of Barbara Streisand's by saying she's better than Barbara. Wow. He played in the Lauper's again, the full album that never was released in 1989. In 1987, Meatloaf appeared on Way Up Broadway, a nationally distributed cable TV show, with Denver as a music director. The show hosted by Joy Butter. Other guests on the show included Larry Carmen, Robbie Aubrey, and Edgar Winter. In 1987, he returned to the World Wrestling Federation, WWF for short, to produce his second music album, part Driver the Wrestling Album 2. He co-wrote the theme song for Domination. He also recorded a new version of Rock and Roll Haji Q, a duet with Gene Agarwal. In the 80s, he produced a virtual band tour to Asia, including the Edgar Winter during the 1990 White Tour. He worked with the Southern New York City-based Jingle House during the 80s. He also wrote We're Al Yankovic to Be Loved. We're Al Yankovic in 1983. Between 1983 and 1989, he produced 6 Yankovic albums, which he released his only Grammy Award. He also expressed openness to working with Ringers again. Wow. In 1997, wow. He began eventual Christian. Wow. Thereafter, he commercially aligned himself to commercial causes in the United States. He defined himself as a Jesus freak. Wow. In 2001, he Bogart 2020 times. I forgot about that. But in 2001, he Tom Bogart and Carmine Appice released the album Duringer de Bogart Appice, DBA for short, doing business as on the German record label Schumhammer Records. He was previously worked with Appice in the album Braid Party Teased by DNA, Duringer and Appice. It was released in 2011. In 2001, the same year, he and his wife and their children released their first 2 of the Christian music albums of both Panda Studio Productions. Island from Heaven in 2001, Duringer X2 in 2001, the same year, Holy Island Winter Wonderland in 2004, and We Live in 2008. In 2002, he was featured in Dan Mills' book Glacier, Mark, Duringer, and Katara, Their Lives and Music. He released Free Ride Smooth Jazz in 2002, which released a smooth jazz radio hit remake Cathy Coo. In 2009, May, he self-released the album Night by the Blues and popular song Sometimes, co-written with Jana. He followed up the release of Three Kings of the Blues for Freddie King, B.B. King, Opera King, and on Marty Marty's Blue Boys International Records. He was way on the Free World Tour with Ringo Starr All-Star Band. One rehearsal began in 2010 of June. He then traveled across Europe, Russia, South Africa, America, Mexico, and the USA. The tour featured Wally Palmer, Edgar Winter, Gary White, Richard Page, and finally Greg Pasmani. That's his last name. So anyway, 2014, he and Jenna created an Asia project after she discovered she was 2 artists selling songs in history in Chinese. And as Ricky Koo and Jenna Wu, and the Diggers were recorded and released their versions of the songs. Ren Chu and Yang Chen Chen's 2004 song Mouth Love Rice, and the actress Liu Shi Season of Whaley. In 2014, he performed at Peter Frampton's Guitar Circus tour with other guitarists, including B.B. King, Roger McGuy of Birds, Bob Don Feller, Eagles, Gregory West, Mountain, Jeep Tricks, Mike Nelson's, Toes, Steve Ruger, Ross Roberts, David Alago, and Pearl Jam's Mike McGarry. In 2017, I'm going to stop a little bit. Anyway, he was changed to carrying a low gun in Delta Airlines flight from China to Mexico to land in Georgia. Wow. According to manager, he believed he was permitted to carry the gun do his promotion of failure for the commercial weapon permits. He was later pleaded guilty, agreeing to pay the $1,000 fine. Wow. In the same year, 2013, he recorded Hulk Hogan's Being Pretty American with updated lyrics. He recorded version was released on May 2017. To promote the re-recording, he appeared in Flowers. Change the lyrics include I gotta be a man, I can't let it slide. Change to I gotta let it hang. I can't let it slide. And fight for the right of every man. Change to fight for the rights of everyone. The lines but not best not to mess with my U.S. As a cause of right to just will build on truth and God will trust. Will also add to the second verse. Wow. In 2017, same year, anyway, he collaborated with baseball players Tom Seaver and Gary Roydas to release a version of "Take Me Out of the Ball Game" on the Lifetime Law in Baseball. In 2018, he remarketed a tour of Manila Fudge, Mitch Meyer, and Badfinger under the name Hippie Fest. He performed a guitar solo for the anti-bullying campaign version of "Hang On Sloppy" for the Love Kids, released on October 2019. In other media, wow. Raguel Hajiku released in the 1993 film Dazed and Confused, as well as Xbox 360 version of Guitar Hero 2 in 2007, and Rock Band 4 2015. Anyways, the song was also made available in downloadable content for the guitar learning game Rocksmith 4 2014 and 2015 of January, and his personal life and death. Politics. In 2013, he appeared on Alex James and Followers several times. In one of those appearances, political consultant Roger Stone interviewed him about the support of Donald Trump. He died on Oriental Beach, Florida, on May 26, 2025. He was 77 years old. According to TMZ, his wife Jenna Darger said he died peacefully after being taken off life support Monday night following a medical episode. His caretaker and both friend, Tony Wilson, said he was undergoing a triple bypass 2 months earlier and had been doing well. The next step topic has to do with Liz Tompkins. Born Elizabeth Mary Tompkins, she was an Australian film producer. She was born December 1st, 1982. Wow. She studied Queensland College of Art Design, graduated in 2005, and later began Bridge 31 Community Television, where among other roles she produced the stage's flagship show Cinema. She quickly left community television to pursue her work on various films and TV series, such as China, Canada, Southeast Queensland, Far North Queensland, by companies including HBO, Fox, Dinosaur Films, and Live International. By 2009, she had changed course in independent producing and began production manager and publication of the low budget thriller Sleeper. This film was developed by Brisbane-based production company 78 Media, distributed in North America and Canada by Celebrity Home Entertainment. This was lead her to the producing Screen Media development Australia short film Tender, which she developed with its Queensland branch QPIX. Anyways, in 2012, she and Judd Gilgard produced a short film Frame 137, which Gilgard with that also wrote and directed. This film is based on the comics of the same name, created by the Crow, Queer, James Barr, and the soundtrack features a collaboration of Iggy Pop's Dog Food by Dave Grohl and Nick Bari. Other contributors to the soundtrack includes the Grammy punk rock band musician Happy Tom and Doors lead guitarist Mark Diamond. She died of collaboration on May 26, 2025. She was 42 years old. Wow. My next step topic has to do with Rodney Dogger. Born that name at Rodney Edward Dogger. He was an American progressive journalist. He was born in Chicago, Illinois in 1930. On April 16th. He studied attended the University of Texas. Was editor of Dallas, Texas in 1950 to 1951. He was founding editor of Texas Barber from 1954 and 1961. Later served as Barber's publisher, spending more than 4 years in the Provincial News magazine. He published hundreds of articles in Harper's Magazine, The Nation, The New Yorker, New England Monthly, Progressive, and other periodicals. In 2011, he won the George Folk Award. Wow. Rushing his lifelong achievements in journalism. Okay? The following year, he was dubbed the godfather of progressive journalism in Texas. And in-depth feature publisher in Austin American Statesman by Brad Bogloff. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but except for teaching career, here we go. He taught at the University of Virginia, Hampshire College, and University of Illinois. He has also a fellowship from the National Endowment of the Humanities, the Rockefeller Foundation, and Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. He died on May 27, 2025 in Austin, Texas, of progression of dementia. He was 95 years old. My next topic has to Ed Gale. Born Edward Gale. He was an American actor, stunt performer, and I'm not going to say the S word, but anyway. Offender who appeared in films and television series between 1986 to 2013. He was normally professional performer Chucky in Child's Play 2, Bride of Chucky. Born with dwarfism on August 23rd, 1963. He was born in Plainsboro, Michigan, and graduated Plainville High School. His film debut was a trial of Howard in the 1986 film Howard the Duck. While Chip Design was by Howard's Boys, he was an actor in a suit throughout the entire film. In 1988, he played Chucky in the horror film Child's Play. He went on to appear in 2 other films in the franchise. He played the dinosaur Tasha in the short-lived television series Land of the Lost in 1991. In 2002, he had a supporting role in Matthew Montgomery and Jerry Ullman's characters Uncle Bobby Bray and Tiptoes, a film that revolves around the family of people of dwarfism. He also appeared in minor roles in the popular American television sitcom My Name is Earl. The episode titled Real Bad Merle Brother appeared in 2006 and featured Gale and carnival performer named Will A. Legal issues in April 2023. He was accused by a group of online professional hunters of accusing I'm not gonna say this one, sorry. Anyways, from multiple Myers. One male among them was allegedly believed that it might be aged 14 years old. Wow. He had a smartphone seized by the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD for short, during a home visit on April 19th of that year. But it was a time neither charged arrested. But it's so revealed Gale has managed to be the group that at the time it was ready to be. I'm not gonna say yes, but sorry. It was managed to be hooked up with the underage 14-year-old boy. And had been passed on. Oh wow! At least 10 other people who have been removed were minors. Until his death, he was remained under investigation by the LAPD in the Los Angeles County District Jury. Following Gale's death, a spokesperson of Gale Los Angeles County District Jury's office prepared the people that case had them reversed to Los Angeles County Jury's office in September 2023, but only a possible misera folly. In 2024, he's pleaded guilty to one charge with contacting a minor with a offense of registering the offender. He died in Los Angeles hospital on May 27, 2025. He was 61 years old. My next topic has to do with Al Foster, born Alice Torma Foster. He was an American jazz drummer. Foster's professional career began in the mid-60s. Wow. Okay. When he played and recorded with hard bop and swing musicians including Blue Mitchell, Illinois Jacquet. Wow, okay. Foster played jazz fusion with Miles Davis during the 1970s. And it was one of the few people, okay, to have contact with Davis during the retirement from 1975 to 1980. Wow. During Davis' retirement, Foster continued to play and recorded Irish jazz with Sonny Rollins, Dexter Jordan, recording guitar, and Horace Silver. Another band leaders. Foster played on Miles Davis' 1981 Combat album, The Man with the Horn. It was the only musician to play in Davis' band before and after his retirement. After leaving Davis' band in the mid-80s, Foster toured and recorded with Herbie Hancock, Sonny Rollins, Joe Henderson, and many other band leaders, probably working in acoustic jazz sessions. He also released several studio albums under his own name, starting with Mixed Roots in 1978. He was born in Richmond, Virginia on January 18, 1943. He grew up in New York. He began playing drums at the age of 13, made his recording debut on Blue Mitchell's 1964 album, The Thing to Do, in age 20. Joined Miles Davis' group when Jack McGarry left in 1972, playing with Davis until 1985. In his 1989 autobiography, Davis described the first time he heard Foster play live in 1982 in the Color Club, Manhattan. Foster knocked me out because he had such a groove and he was just laid right there. That was kind of thing that I was looking for. I was set up and for everybody else to play off and just keep the groove going forward, something like that. He began composing in the 1970s and toured his whole band, including musicians such as bassist Doug West, saxophonist Dana Stevens, pianist Adam Burnham. The last decade of his life, Foster was regularly in this New York club Smoke Rose, whose Smoke Sessions record label released his final 2 albums. He died on May 28, 2025. He was 82 years old. My next step topic has with Alf Caution, born Alf Fay Halberg Caution. He was an American film and television composer. He is best known for his work scoring many episodes of sitcoms for his solo composer between 1990 to 2017. He was scoring and orchestrated music for more than 30 films and television shows, including Moonlighting, The Naked Gun, Alf, and First Bowler's Day Off. He received an honorary Democrats of Music for Bally's College of Music in 1996. He was born in Minnesota on March 28, 1941, raised in Jefferson, North Dakota. He was interested in music from a young age. The Italian composer Henry Mazzaggi is one of his heroes. His book Sound Scores inspired him, and he began playing the French horn in 7th grade. And also learned piano. He sang in his high school choir, and he continued playing to learn to play the bass guitar. Stopped singing, and because the choir met in the same time he entered the band. He studied medical engineering at North Dakota State University, although after being inspired by his pianist cousin, switched to major in music theory. While there, Clausen took a corresponding course in Boston's Berklee College of Music in jazz and big band writing. He went on to attend the University of Wisconsin at Madison, something like that, to complete his master's degree, but he quit as he disliked the place, especially what he felt was an anti-jazz attitude. He later attended Berklee and graduated with a diploma in major in composition in 1966. Caution was the first French horn player to ever attend college and to take part in assemblies, but he also featured on some jazz and classical albums. After college, he worked with a period of his musician, something like that. After earning the master's degree in Berklee, he taught there for a year. He moved to Los Angeles, California in 1957 and searched for television work, wanting to become a full-time composer. For 9 years, he did some arrangement for working with singers, ghostwriting, a number of composing jobs, something like that. such as commercial jingles, as well as working as a teacher, music copyist, and bassist. Something like that. He worked as a copyist on Get Gone, Get Happy, the Beam Song for The Partridge Family. He eventually became a score writer and later the music director for and conductor for Donnie and Mari between 1976 and 1979. He was requested to write an emergency chart for the following day. He was hired as score writer and continued to write and conducting on the show before replacing Tommy Oliver as music director. When the show moved to Utah, he flew there each week from Los Angeles to record the score. He had the same role in Mary Tyler Moore Hour in 1979. In 1981, he was nominated for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Achievement in Music Direction for Nominus. He served as a composer for the series Muhai in 1985 and 1989, scoring 63 out of 65 episodes. His favorite episode to score was an episode The Dream Sequence Always Rings Twice, which features two lengthy black and white dream sequences, and enjoyed the episode Ominous Shakespeare, also a fantasy episode. He received an Emmy nomination for each episode in the category Outstanding Achievement in Music Combination for the series Dramatic Underscore in 1986 and 1987. Earned two more nominations on the next 2 years of the episodes Here's Living the Year Kid and Home for the View in 1986 and 1989. He's also received nominations for an Emmy Outstanding Achievement in Music Direction. He's also composed on ALF from 1986 to 1990. His other television compositions were including Wizards and Warriors in 1983, Flame in 1984, and Lime Street in 1985, Chrissy Cornwell in 1989, and Live in Times in 1981. As well as television films in Murder the Free Act in 1986, Double Agent in 1987, Police Story and The Watch Commander in 1988, My First Love in the same year, She Knows Too Much in 1989, and the feature film Number One and Bullet in 1987. He also conducted orchestras and some provided initial music for several films, including The Beastmaster in 1982, Airplane 2, the sequel in the same year, Splash in 1984, Weird Science in 1985, Pierce Brosnan's Day Off in 1986, Dragnet in 1987, and The Naked Gun in 1988. Specifics never work. Anyways, the show provided him the opportunity to score realistic drama, honorable comedy, and freezing on jazz, Broadway, and Warfare show. Tunes that are some of the most clever and loving parodies and cheapo television news beams. Series of action music and features film scores and upper done. Alf delivers in spades and always bring its trademark cinematic verb and technical progression. He has proved provide beyond a doubt that television scoring is not the vast wasteland is often purported to be that a talented composer can take even the most demanding shows and elevate them to new heights. Doug Adams, a new film scored monthly about cautious work on the symptoms. Now, following Alf's conclusion, Carlson was unemployed for 7 months. Then his friend's suggestion of him for a producer on a Fox animated series, The Symptoms, who were looking for a new composer. Carlson had no interest in doing animation at all, and wanted to do a drama composer. However, the show's creator Matt Gorin told him, "We don't look upon it this to be a cartoon, but a drama would be the characters are drawn. We want to score it that way." He took the job. Carlson took Carlson that the emotions should be scored first, to be action scored second. Unlike many other cartoons, and that scoring the emotions of the characters was the popular aim for The Symptoms, his first episode was Treehouse of Horror, the third episode of the season 2 in 1990. He served the audition and was hired permanently after that. Thereafter, he scored almost all of the music and songs that appear on the show, across a wide range of musical styles throughout the end of season 28. He conducted a 35-piece orchestra of the music, variety of television shows, and recorded scores of an episode every week. He wrote an episode score during the week, recorded on the Friday, some variations and vocals were required. The limited time frame proved the most challenging aspect of the job of caution. His once required to write 57 musical cues in 1 week. But the show's original songs, but the production is much longer. His recorded music from the writer's lyrics. Over 7-8 months, the scene was animated, and then Caution can re-record the songs with full orchestra. The full orchestra allows every transition between the wide range of musical styles required in the show. He also noted this. The greatest composition challenges have been trying to make some kind of musical scenes, sense like that of the cues when I have only a few seconds to make a musical statement. We have a joke in the scoring stage that make you feel 5 ways in 13 seconds. We have the jest, saying the jest, we're out in a situation that I'm required to do just that quite often, something like that. And intentionally, all of the guests composing beams from each character, with some additions such as Mr. Burns, and instead give each story and its beams and dimensional development. That approach helped give each story its own special invitation, more like initial mini movies. How he supplemented the orchestra with additional instruments, such as extra brass for the episode Cape Brewery, which Coffin composed Sideshow Bob's Beam, which continues to be played whenever Bob's getting the prison in special episodes. It is based on the score in the movie Cape Fear, composed by Bernie Bernard and Bernard Herrmann, like that. Musical requests and the writers range from re-recording the specific piece, with writing music, composing something based on the character's emotion and scene. He received 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for his work in The Symptoms, winning his award for Outstanding Visual and Achievement of Music and Lyrics 2 years in a row. The first was for We Put the Spring in Springfield, 1987 episode, Bar After Dark. The second was You Check the End for 1988 episode, City of New York versus Homer Simpson. The lyrics of each song were written by Ken Keller. It was nominated for the category for several times in 1994, 95, 96, 2002, 2003, 2004, and 2005. He's also received 12 nominations for Outstanding Visual Achievement for the Music Combination for a series dramatic on score between 1992 and 2011, something like that. It was twice and it was nominated for Outstanding Music Direction, in 97 until 98. With 30 nominations, he received more Emmys nominations than any other musician. He won 5 Annie Awards for his work in The Symptoms. He won 97 award for Best Music in TV Production. The award for Outstanding Music in Animation Television Production 98, and again for You Checking In. You same award 2000 for the episode Behind the Laughter. The award for Best Music in Animation Television Production for 2003 for Where's My Ranch, and again in 2007 for Your Cold Chords. His work in the show has been released as part of our free albums produced by Caution. Songs that came from Springfield 97, Go Simpsons, The Symptoms 99, and Symptoms Testify 2007. He was not asked to score the film adaptation of the Symptons movie, with Hans Zimmer getting the job. He's noticed that sometimes you be windshield, sometimes you get the bug. While working on The Symptoms, he was scored the Craig in 1994 and 1995, Beauty 2000, and he also scored the 1998 film Hat Bake. Wow. He recorded this album, Swing That Can Really Hang Up You the Most, in 2003. Composing arrangements he made in his career for his jazz orchestra after self-sponsoring it. In 2011, he was awarded the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers Golden Note Award. As CAP President Paul Webstead, he decades of scoring the symptoms of TV programs and films are endlessly indicative as a imagination of shows, writers, and animators. He took a lot of serious work and thoughts to compose, arrange, and conduct such wonderfully happy music. On August 40th, 2017, after 27 years of scoring the symptoms, it revealed that caution was dismissed from the show, with sessions at beyond the decision was largely financial. His last complete score was Dog Tom. However, following the news of Caution's departure, the producer of the show stated that he would be continuing to have an ongoing role in the show. Again, with season 29, score was taken over by Bleeding Fingers music. Caution credited as composer and barge. His last credit as composer of music was an episode called Whisper's Power. August 5th, 2019, he was announced he was sued by the Fox Network for his move of the show. Say it was fired due to ageism and disability criticism. Though the producers claimed that Caution was fired due to eventually to work with more modern music styles. As the departure was dismissed in August 2020, Quaz dropped the shoot and entirely in January 2022. Wow, that was sad. His son Scott was also a composer. In April 2020, he revealed he has a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, and though he was gradually reported that his illness was progressive cerebral palsy, was often eventually misdiagnosed with Parkinson's. After a decade of illness, he died in his home in Los Angeles on May 29, 2025, which is 3 days ago. He was 84 years old. My next step topic has to Valerie McLaughlin. Born that name, she was an American actress. She began her career and started the NBC daytime soap opera The Doctors in 1979 to 1981, for which in 1980 she was nominated for the Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in the Drama Series. From 1992, however, McLaughlin won the Popular Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in the Drama Series, for a role in CBS drama series Northern Exposure. She really won fame for her performance in television shows such as Wings, Spider-Man Housewives, Spider-Man Malls, and Big Sky. She also appeared in a number of movies, including Senior Trip in 1995, Year I Was Born, Jungle to Jungle in 1997, Jackie Jill in 2011, and Sully in 2016, and most notably, Direct Entry in 2020. Once she received critical acclaim and Independent Spirit Award nomination. Well, how long did I record this? Wow, 2 hours. Wow. She was born on June 16th, 1953. In Sorry and Nausea. Wow. To a Canadian mother and American father who met in New Brunswick, Canada. Her father worked in the furniture industry, and the father family moved further to his career. She spent our 4 years in Honduras. Wow. In Nigeria, United Kingdom. When she was 16, her family relocated in Austin, Texas. When she graduated Austin High School, she earned her Bachelor of Fine Arts degree at University of Texas at Austin in 1975. Her later made Broadway debut in the musical Rex. Excuse my God. He was a regular cast member in soap opera Doctors in 1979, 1981. She earned a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in Drama Series in 1980. She starred in Woman's Empower in 1986, while the characters and features is a pair of woman's role in the Philippines during World War II. And also in 1986, she's co-starred in the cult TV miniseries Professional, which was parodized popular TV soaps of the day. Wow. In the late 80s, she began acting in television comedies like Newhart, Cheers, and Seinfeld. From 1992 to 1993, she starred in short-lived NBC sitcom The Powers That Be and CBS sitcom One with the House, alongside Delta Burke in 1995. Year was born. Anyways, she played Tracy Milford in 1995 film National Lampoon Senior Trip, and Jan comes from a 1997 film Jungle to Jungle. In 1999, she had a recurring role in ER. 2003, she co-starred in the film Seabiscuit. And in 2009, she appeared on the 7 episodes of Showtime comedy drama series, United States of Terror. Her stage credits includes Eastern Standard, Talking Heads like that, Top Girls, and Rex. Her won the Popularity Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in the drama series for her performance in the comedy Inspiring Eve, the CBS series Northern Exposure in 1992. She was only an actor from the series to win an Emmy Award. She also played Alma Arch in season 3 of ABC comedy drama series Dishwasher Housewives from 2006 to 2007. She also made a guest appearance on Quantum Leap, L.A. Law, Ally McBeal, Judge Amy, West Wing, Law and Order, SBU, Frasier, Wings, CSI, short, crime scene investigation. Anyways, Private Practice, Boston Legal, something like that. Without a Trace, and Wasting Hope. She appeared on Glee as the mother of Emma Persport from 2011 to 2014. She also co-starred as Fran Harvest in the short-lived TNT medical drama Monday Mornings in 2014 in the same year. For 2014, she had a recurring role as Lifetime television comedy drama series The Best Maids as Olivia Rice. In 2016, she played a supporting role as Dottie Higgins in the bridal drama film Sully, directed by Clint Eastwood. In 2017, she began appearing in the recurring role of CBS comedy series Young Sheldon. From 2019 to 2022, Kathy was a recurring role with Rhonda Harney, classic unplayed mother-in-law in the Netflix comedy drama series Dead to Me. In 2020, she was starring opposite Michelle Pfeiffer in the comedy drama film French Exit, playing widow Madame Right Dawn, something like that. She received positive reviews from critics for her scene steely, ceramic performance in the film. She was listed as a conductor contender for the nomination in 2011 the Academy Award 2021, something like that. Academy Award for the Best Supporting Actress category. Later in that 2020 year, she was cast in a series regular role in the first season of the ABC crime drama series Big Sky. Personal life and death. She was married to actor and director Joseph Keel, whom she had a daughter. She died of cancer 2 days ago. She was 71 years old. My last step topic has to do with Renee Victor. Born that name, she was an American actress, dance instructor, and singer. She was best known as a role with Rapolia on Weeds and providing the voice of female Armenians and Dasha Softworks 2011 video game Andrew Scoresby Skyward. She was born in San Antonio, Texas on July 25th, 1938. She moved to Los Angeles in the 60s, where she sang for private band leaders for Sparhead Department of Latin Music in the U.S., including Xavier Colgate and Boris Pardo. She's also a dance instructor teaching salsa and tango. She met her husband through dance classes. She and her husband traveled globally to perform together under the banner Rain Green Randy. Nicknamed the Latin Sonian Cher from 1963 to 1973. She appeared in the 2014 film Primary Activity the Mark Ones. Her previous work includes a recurring role in 2004 ER. Guest role in the 2010 episode of Children's Hospital in 2021. She appeared in TNT show Snowpiercer while working with actors such as David Diggs. She's also a cinematographer and actress. In 2017, she's also voiced Miguel starred Amelia in Disney Pixar animated film Coco. She died in her home in Sherman Oaks on last Friday. Her cause of death was leukemia. She was 86 years old. Before I do say the moment silence special, I was going to say I'll have this last tab topic on this one tab topic of that on that one that Billy told me about, but I got disturbed by that. I'm sorry to say, Billy, but life goes on. Anyways, let's do a moment silence special, guys. Not one, not two, but 12 tab topics right now. Thank you. Rest in peace, these 12 people. Now I gotta read one more topic, and that is for PBS, and it's a 3-minute read, and then we'll wrap up the show. Okay. PBS sues Trump, join NPR in legal fight against executive order to end funding, and that is happening at 4 p.m. last Friday. Okay. PBS and one of the member stations in northern Minnesota sued President Trump and several cabinet officers on Friday over Trump's executive order targeted public broadcasting system, PBS for short. PBS realized the president made first or violated the first administrative credentials for that. Anyway, and the Administrative Protection Act. And also asked the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. from the orders advisory and barred the Trump administration from enforcing the president's demands of PBS to be funded. Wow, that was disturbing me, I know. After covering the violation, PBS reached the conclusion that it would be necessary to take legal action to safeguard public television's editorial independence and protect the authority of PBS member stations. A PBS spokesperson said Friday CNN has asked why the White House for comment. The network's radio and podcasting counterpart PR filed a similar first attempt lawsuit earlier this week. The Corporation for Public Broadcast CPB for short, the private industry that press taxpayer funds and public radio and TV stations also sued Trump for over the attempt to fire 3 board members. Wow. From the time being, the CBP is ignoring Trump's demands. But as the federal funding the public media is indeed halt, some smaller stations could be forced off the air. And I'm sorry to disbelieve about what's going on. But with the PBS and NPR lawsuits supposed on Trump's own claims about the public broadcasters, he repeatedly abused public media. I did not understand that why. For 3 political bias, charging that NPR and PBS are unfair to accommodations. PBS abused those charged Americans in the strongest possible terms bias lawsuit following states. But regardless of any policy disagreements over the role of public television, structures and laws forbid the president from serving the wire on the content of PBS programming, including by attempting to fund PBS, which is stupid, I know. In legal parlance, the great person attempt violation is known for viewpoint discrimination. Trump's order made no attempt to hide the fact that is cutting off the flow and funding the PBS because of content of PBS programming is out to inspire the outward the content of speech. The lawsuit continues. This is a violent viewpoint discriminations and infringement of PBS and PBS member stations private editorial discrimination. Exactly. The lawsuit, also known as the 1967 Public Broadcasting Act, supposedly sold PBS, and it was member stations from the public insurance. Well, the May 1st inserted order, which is stupid, I know. Trump is implementing the Permanent Congress, which is coordinated funds for the public media every year. The lawsuit added. With NPR lawsuit was filed. Just scroll down a little bit. Anyway, the White House charged with the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is created media for support the particular political party on the taxpayers' dime. Therefore, the president is exercising its lawsuit inventory to limit the funding to NPR and PBS. Adversaries to the NPR said the White House statement amounted to further evidence of viewpoint differentiation. PBS took pains and Friday's following to reject conservative claims about Riverdale Bayos and its airways. It said that White House taking the points about measure woke propaganda and propaganda, something like that, what was were mislead and misrepresentative of the variety of PBS programming. The law of Lakeland PBS, a member station of Minnesota, is meant to produce lawsuit arguments. Stations only local TV news provider in the part of the states where it operates. Excuse me. Without Lakeland PBS, many residents of the conference area will have no access to television covering local issues. The law states. And that's our topics for today. And that was the Crazy Bunch Web Show, episode number 108. This is very long to read. So, hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned. The next one will be Crazy Bunch Web Show, episode number 109. We have some depth talks to read. And then we're going to have to talk about WWDC 2025. And then we're going to have to do this. And it's the first day of June that I talk about Crazy Bunch Web Show. Yeah. Happy first day of June, everybody. Hope you enjoy your first day of June. So, be lookout for more Crazy Bunch Web Shows in the month of June. And then we're coming up with this in the 4th of July weekend. So, be lookout for those. Till next time, so just by this baby, we got Crazy Bunch Web Show episodes. We guys pretty soon. Till then, the Jefferson out. See ya.